9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Roger, Tower.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. It is Saturday, December 16th, 2023. And I'm Doug, and joining me today is LaLa Bright. Finally got you on. Appreciate it after, all my technological problems on my end usually. LaLa is an artist, an experiencer, a contactee, abductee, medium, remote viewer, starseed, and future ghost.
Yes.
Tell me about your business. I like to hear about what people do when they're not being what we do.
I am a face painter. I've been doing it about 6 years now. And I kind of stumbled into it. I didn't even know I could do it. And I tried it. I fell in love with it. And I said, I can make a business out of this. I can do it. And so I taught myself business part and everything. The White House hired me twice for some events. I mean, I've been all over the place. And I love it because I'm super shy. So it helps me get out there, mingle with people, make people happy, make kids happy. So I like it.
The art is amazing. And I looked on your website. You can do that in 5 minutes. That's incredible.
Thank you very much.
You got to be.
Yeah. I'm mentally freaking out, like, hurry up.
Because you got to get in a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Do the adults get into it? I saw some adult pictures with I wouldn't mind having there was one with goggles and a shark face. It was awesome. I said, I'd love to have that. That'd be cool.
Usually after they have a glass of wine, they'll start lining up, So.
And you travel, so if you needed to go somewhere, you just arrange for a fee to get there and back and that kind of thing.
Yep. I'm in Maryland, but I go to Delaware, Virginia, Pennsylvania, DC, all over because it's a very cultural thing for face painting. And it's usually a big family event or corporation, so they're all over the place.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I make orgonite pyramids, and I sell them on my website. They're usually custom made.
Wow.
But I stumbled upon that too after my dad was really spiritual, and after he passed, he would mess with my phone to give me messages. And he put that on my phone. I didn't know about orgonite at all. And I started doing it, and it's really beneficial. It's really cool, actually.
Is that your bit? Is that what you do for a living? You don't have any other...
Well, I make them. I do like canvas painting, but my main thing is face painting. That's what I like best. So.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me about your abductee experience. Is it only one? You only had one, or have you had? Sometimes people have multiple.
I feel it's been going on since I was really little. I remember when I was probably under 5 is when I started having these dreams of me in my backyard at night, looking up at a bunch of craft or UFOs flying over me. They were like silver flat disc kind of. Wow. That's what they looked like, that way. And I would have it for years, many times throughout the year. Every year I'd have the same dream. And finally my dad watched a UFO movie years later, and I go, I know what those are. I dream about it all the time,
Wow.
But I do have a lot of missing time. I have seen a craft up close as an adult. And I had missing time after that. I was driving home with my friend, and at night, and a helicopter shone a spotlight through a cloud. And in this cloud was this massive black craft. I mean, like football field big craft.
Wow.
And underneath, it looked like, I don't know how to explain it, maybe like plumbing intertwined with each other. But the plumbing was, the pipes were so big, they were as wide as the body of the helicopter. Like this thing was big. And I found that really strange when I saw that. And then I don't remember driving home. Nothing.
Wow. That's
I've had
incredible.
a couple other weird things, but I know I have an implant in my leg. I found out accidentally. I found out a little over 20 years ago. It's still there. So, and there's no, I didn't fall there. I didn't have surgery there. There's no marks there. And it's a piece of metal about the size of a piece of rice.
Yeah, that's typical. Yeah, they're tracking you. I don't
Yeah.
want to keep track of what you're doing.
They pick some real weird people to track. I mean,
I know. And when you say a star seed, I see that term. It- So you're star seed meaning you come from came to the earth, not really your
yeah.
DNA basically
Right.
came.
I think a lot of people are like that. I remember a few years ago, I looked up at the sky before bed and I said, where am I from? Because I just don't feel like this is home. I never felt really welcome here. I just didn't ever fit in. And that night I had a dream and it said M56. And when I
Hmm.
woke up, I Googled it. And it's a constellation. Was it the Lyran constellation?
Huh.
Lyra, Palladians, and Draco. I didn't know about
Uh,
this stuff.
wow.
So it's amazing. But come to find out, a lot of humans have their DNA have come from there. And that's what I learned. So,
Yeah, and that's one of the concepts that people talk about is that we didn't really evolve. We were placed at some point in the evolutionary process of primates that we were plugged in, and we didn't necessarily come directly from that galaxy, but that it was planet here. There's all kinds of weird stories like the moon's hollow. It was actually
yeah.
pulled here. I don't know if you've ever heard that one, where there was a dying galaxy and a dying planet, and they made this gigantic moon,
Huh.
and it was actually, and it was towed here by another by whatever means they did. Probably
Uh,
wasn't just towed directly through space, however, because they probably travel, maybe even interdimensionally,
right.
and so this thing gets here, and then the people, they find Earth, or they knew about it and brought it here, and then they seeded the planet with the people from that galaxy. That's an interesting. I
I
love
like
all
that.
these interesting concepts, and now because we're you know going back to the moon, it's going to be interesting to see if they're ever able to, if that's true, or will we ever know?
Right.
Like the government.
I hope one day, but I don't know. I think it's going to take a lot for us to know the truth.
Do you follow the Senate hearings and that kind of thing on the disclosure with the David
Okay.
Grush and all that?
All right. So my attention span does not allow me to, but Bob informs me on things because he's
Yeah.
watching it all day long.
Yeah, I don't have that big of an. It's probably. Yeah, I get fed these things, day, so I can get, a few minutes of it, and I said, you
Right.
got to listen to this, because I drive back and forth to work, so I'll listen to it. So
It's
that's.
interesting. I just always wonder the government. Can I say the word government or should I
Yeah,
say?
I'm not. There's nothing off limits here.
Okay. I feel like they control so much of what we hear, how we think. I mean, down to our food. Why would they let this information out all of a sudden and keep letting little bits out? And I just wonder what's the reason, if if or what we're hearing is true at all, or is it all they hire people to say things, I don't know.
Yeah, disinformation is a big deal with the
Yeah.
government.
So I don't pay
They're good
attention.
at that. Yeah, I don't know, because I've never seen anything. It's kind of people like, why are you in this? You've never seen anything. Well, I'm fascinated with, I grew up with science fiction, Star Trek, Star Wars, so I want to believe. I'm like the X Files, I want to believe.
I
So
love
I
it.
believe, oh, that's awesome. So I, I believe in it. I have the podcast as, so, I just have the, usually you're a little bit higher up than this, but we usually just have the person on the street, like my coworkers will come on the show and we'll talk about
Oh,
what they think about, you know,
right.
um, the phenomenon, so we really don't, so I get, fed stuff all day long about what's going on with, the hearings and things like that. But I always like to hear what people have seen or heard, or, what they think about what's going on. I don't know, I think the government has it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're all, I think there's a lot of corruption.
Hmm.
I think that, um, I'd love to hear Bob's theory on this.
You want me to bring them in? You will.
No, we'll get you this. Maybe we'll do another one with Bob to talk about it. We could probably spend an hour on this, but
He will. Yeah.
the thing is, they're fed we pay our taxes. It goes to the defense contracts. The defense contractors get money from the
Mhm.
government. The government, and then that money, some of that goes back to these, the Mike Turners of the world out there,
Mhm.
and just to help protect them so this stuff doesn't get out.
Right.
So, there's a lot of corruption out there. So why are they struck down,
Right.
that portion of the disclosure, the amendment. So that was curious. Why would they shut that down if there's nothing there? If there's nothing to
Right.
see, why not just let it happen like that? But they are very protective. And like I said,
I-
Mike Turner's he's the Ohio, and he is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in his district.
Right.
So he's protecting people like Lockheed,
Oh
so it's
Lord. Yeah.
just,
You don't want to mess with them. No.
so,
I used to live next to them, and it was also an army base at my old house.
yeah,
And I saw lots of really strange things in
yeah,
the sky. Mainly, I didn't know that crafts could look like orbs,
yeah,
like, big ones. And I was driving home, and a whole bunch of these orbs. There was one big one and a bunch of small ones, and I could see them, and then I couldn't, and then I could see them again, and there was a helicopter following them.
yeah.
Eventually, the helicopter just stayed still. Well, I'm a little special, so I decided to follow the helicopter for like an hour.
Way to go.
Dude, the helicopter got so low it pushed my car off the road a little bit. It was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, well,
Wow.
I'm special. But anyway,
Yeah, I would love that. That's
it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And I mean, I'm much better now. I'm not as stupid. Um,
I don't think they're gonna, they just want to send you on your way and not be curious.
well, that's
So,
one thing I do. I used to get kind of nervous when I was with Bob because I'm very shy. I kept a lot of things to myself. And living with him, he's very open out, and we record stuff and we get proof. And I'll wake up with triangle bruises or strange bruises I shouldn't have.
huh,
And then
well,
we'll have video of a real. One was in the front yard. It was an alien with like fog around it.
oh
And
wow.
that night, I got a weird triangle bruise. And I got nervous that maybe we shouldn't be posting it. I don't know. But
Yeah.
everything's been fine. But I noticed that before I wake up with bruises, for about a month or so, we'll get a lot of activity.
Wow.
Ghosts, alien, crafts, weird other things. I don't even know what they are. And then I'll get a bruise and it'll slow down for a couple months. And then it'll start up again. And I know, okay, something's going to happen. So I think this has been happening for most of my life. I mean, I know I'm O negative blood, and
Yeah.
I have a conspiracy about that, but
Well, let's hear
I think that
it. because I gotta hear it.
Well, okay. So you know how the scientists can figure out everything under the sun? I mean, well, I can't say that, can I? Anyway, so
Yeah.
the point is they don't know where O negative blood comes from, which is strange to me. A lot of O negative people, a lot of people that have come to me for a reading about their abductions, a lot of them are O negative, which is strange because there's not many of us. And so I think maybe we're kind of tested on. We're definitely monitored, but there's something going on with it, and especially since they don't know, the scientists don't really want to look into it. If you Google O negative blood, there's two things that'll come up: fallen angel, or you're an alien. That's it. There's nothing scientific at all. So,
Wow. Yeah, I was at a MUFON meeting, Mutual UFO Network, um,
mm,
last month's meeting, and one of the people um, randomly asked, "Is anybody in here O negative?" And
yeah.
there's a few in there. I go, yeah, there's a lot of, you could be onto something there.
Well, what's weird is that there's a government page website where they want you to sign up and put your name on it if you are O negative.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Hell no. But that's strange too. So
Yeah, there's a go. Yeah, I will never know about what's going on with the government. But I do have a theory about settling the national debt. I think what we should do is disclose where all the flying saucers and captured orbs and the innate non-human intelligence and any physical ETs that we have, put them in a museum, just like Independence Day. When they had, I assume you saw that.
mm, yeah.
When they had the creatures in Area 51, just make a big museum with all that,
Yeah.
charge people $100 to come and look at it, and you'll wipe out that $1 trillion debt. It may take some
Exactly.
time. I just want to put it out there.
It's true. I wonder why there must be some type of universal law or agreement where they can't just show up and
Yeah.
say, "Hey guys, here we are." Now they'll do it to a few people, but gently. Well, sometimes it's dramatic and kind of traumatic,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I mean, they really could just show up and beam us all somewhere, but they don't. I always wondered what's going on. Why can't they do that?
Yeah, there's a lot of conjecture about what they could be or where they are. Some say they're interdimensional, where they come in. So there's also some that say that the paranormal are actually linked to extraterrestrial activity. Not all of it, and again,
I believe it.
I haven't
Yep.
experienced it, but that could be part of that, of them
Mm-hmm.
coming through interdimensionally.
Mm-hmm.
Another theory is that you'll love this one. It's called extraterrestrials. I don't know if you've heard this. They're, the grays, the little guys,
Yeah.
that they're actually us from the future coming back, and that's what we've evolved into in over thousands and thousands of years, and it's just us, them coming back. That's
Ah,
actually, I read a book called Identified Flying Saucers,
okay.
and called with Michael P. Masters, and he they were to study that because you can't prove it, but that's his theory that they're one of the, because I think there's a bunch of different there's quite a few different species coming
Yeah.
through, and this, if even that one could be one, you know
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's I thought it's compelling. People just look at me like, they already look at me like I'm weird, but then when I throw that in there, us from the future, that's what we evolved into. So it's
I was just thinking like that. I mean, I love makeup, but obviously in the future we're not going to use any, so that kind of is disappointing, honestly.
yeah, yeah. Or no face painting, they're just going to evolve
Right.
in a non artistic, you know one everybody's one color, You know, it just
Right.
seems so unimaginative. You know, it's like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to. And
Right.
maybe they come back here to just check us out and go, you know, it's, wow, it was so different back there. Look how different everyone is. And, you
Maybe
know,
we're the museum
yeah.
that
And
they
it,
experience.
do you watch South Park? Have you ever watched South
I
Park?
have. I used to a lot.
Did you
Yes.
see the one where they came back from the future and the ship opens up and they're all beige. They all look alike and they're all beige coming out of the ship. And it just, I think about that every time we hear this extra tempestual thing. Yeah, we evolved we blended all into just one color.
It makes
Yeah,
sense.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like,
I don't know. There's different types of well, there's reptilians
yeah,
also.
yeah,
And I've had one experience with that wasn't that great. Um I I kept it to myself for a few years and I met when I met up with Bob. Now I started talking about it and he told well, I was sleeping and I woke up and there was something being inappropriate with me.
oh wow,
And I didn't understand how this was happening because I couldn't see anybody. And I, one, thought I was losing my mind, but then I knew I was like, this feels way too real. And it scared me. And I didn't say anything, but Bob said a lot of people go through that. And usually they're reptilians that are sexually inappropriate with people.
wow.
And it's kind of common. So that made me feel better, but it's also scarier because I don't know what the reason was.
Yeah, the reptilians are one. I mean, there's another theory or whatever that they can disguise themselves as people, and
Yeah.
you know, they're in the government and they're everywhere. You
Yep.
know, I mean, I find it hard. You know, you can't go from here to there without identification. It's like who's issuing these driver's
Right.
licenses and credit
Right.
cards, and then what do they eat? That's another thing. What
Oh
you know,
God.
we don't want to know what they're one of the ones that I mean, in Dulce, New Mexico, where the Archuleta Mesa, where we were drilling down in there, and I think it was the reptilians that that piled out of an adjacent tunnel and started a firefight with us. And
Really?
yeah, it's a whole nother story. Um, but yeah, they had they had a installation there. The military did, and then the lower levels of the um, installation where these they do odd experiments with people.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
100,000 people go missing every year, and are much more than that go missing. But um, about 1% are never really found, are never found. I mean, where are these people going?
Right.
You know, there's never really. If you do the math, it's like we're so you know.
I
Um,
I believe weird stuff happens. I mean, the crap I've seen in my life, a lot of people wouldn't believe me, but I know that they're around and things happen and we don't understand it, and it's hidden from us so well.
it would be interesting to see if the O negative people have more sightings and experiences than people that have other blood types.
And a lot of times they're more, no offense, I'm sure there's lots of psychic non-O
I
negatives,
get a lot of feedback on it. I never care.
but quite a few O negatives really are very psychic.
Yeah.
So I I don't know what that's about. Some people think O negative. I don't know. I don't know anything. This is just what my opinion of what I've heard. O negatives are from like a reptilian like manipulation,
Right.
and so they're monitored and stuff like that.
Yeah, the DNA.
Right. Which I would be very pissed off if
You're one of them.
I'm part of the jackass
You're
of
no
the
reptilian.
universe.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, Lola. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're reptilian. It's all right. Won't hold it against you.
I'm surprised they haven't given up on me by now. They're just like, because I'm a mess. I'm not.
Why are you a mess?
I'm too nice. I would not be a good reptilian at all, you know.
There's probably all manner of reptilian around. There's
Yeah,
the nice
I've heard.
reptilians and the ones that eat people. Yeah.
I've heard that some of them have a flat face, some of them have a
Yeah.
more like crocodile face, some of them have tails, some of them
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. That's
I've heard the ones with tails are very strong but very vicious. That's from a couple people. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. It's interesting.
and you when you've had these are you guys in do you live in a really highly populated area, or are you remote, or what?
We live and we're surrounded by water and woods, but where we live, there's houses next to us.
Okay,
If that makes
it's a
sense, we're kind of
residential area, yet it's wooded.
we're
Yeah.
hidden off. Actually,
It's
it
not,
takes about a mile to get to our
you're
place.
not desolate, like away from people and things, you
Well,
know.
listen, they mess with my neighbor. I'm telling you, I think they abduct my neighbor or do something because we have video of, I mean, a lot of video of our neighbor's roof. It's always the same neighbor. The roof lighting up like something is crawling on it, like a light's crawling down on it. Okay.
Oh wow.
And then something flies over above it, and then something will shoot out of the house. It's crazy. And he
Wow.
tried a test to see if he could drive around the neighborhood and if his car lights would hit the roof. They did not. So we're too high up to do that. But what's interesting is that before this happened, we have a video of an orb flying down on our back porch. It materializes into like a head and shoulder shaped light with fog around it. It moves our camera to point to the neighbor's roof,
Wow.
and then it goes back into an orb and flies off. And that this is on Facebook. Anybody can see this.
Wow.
Most of our stuff is on Facebook. But that made me know there's a reason they want us to see this. I don't have the courage to tell the neighbor, because I don't know how they would respond. And he's not the nicest guy. So,
Yeah,
but
I've got
it's
those. Yeah.
interesting.
It's well, I have one gentleman that I'm trying to get on the show. Some people will come on and then not want to be shown, or they want to as a pseudonym and things like that. And I
Mhm.
understand that. I just want to have them come on and talk and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But this, I have one person that actually he's had a lot of experiences with extraterrestrials and seen, ships and things, and he discussed it with, I mean, his neighbor literally. He says his neighbor literally moved away. It was,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty harsh. I mean, and certain people won't. He doesn't talk about this to just everybody. He's not like me. I don't, but I haven't seen anything, so
Yeah.
but I do this. So, I consider myself just like you guys because I talk about it and I try
Yeah,
to bring it to the forefront, you know,
that's good. We need that. We do,
you know,
really.
and I believe in it. It's just, we're trying to dig down. I don't think we don't really know what it is. I don't know if we're ever really going to know, what
I don't know.
it
Yeah.
truly is. I mean, you haven't been, other than the bruising, have you been harmed in any way? But you've got the tracking. You never considered removing the tracking device? Is it deep down in there? It's
Um,
usually by the surface, isn't it? Kind of.
yeah, I mean, I can't feel it or see it. I saw it. I was flying. I used to date a guy in Florida 20 some years ago, and I would always set off the metal detector. And I never paid attention. And after a while, I'm like, can I see what you're looking at? Because I always set it off. And that's when I saw the little rice piece thing. Because back then you could still see detailed shape.
Right.
It's a little different now. And I'm like, that's weird. And then the people working there looked at me like, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But we recently flew to Vegas, and I go, Bob, check this out. And so it's still there. I would like it looked at. I guess I have to pretend that I have pain there to get an X-ray from a doctor. That's what I was told by a couple people, um, so that they don't send me to the loony bin. You
Yeah.
know. But I don't know if I want it taken out. I don't know if I hear that they put them back in to a lot of people, you
Yeah,
know, and
it'd be interesting to have it. You can't
I
give it
don't
to
know.
anybody. You know, the problem is once you hand it off to somebody, then you're never going to see it again.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so you need to be very, unless you know someone that can, you know, actually study this thing, you know, that you can trust, and who is that? You know,
Right.
they can't be touched by, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but, you know, touched by the government.
I like
You know,
conspiracy. It's
yeah,
okay.
it's enjoyable to talk about. I try not to go too crazy about it,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, how can they, you know, how can you see what it is, or you know, how is it doing, how is it work, how does it work, you know, how,
Right. There was one person, I forgot his name. He's very famous in the UFO world. Whitley.
what's the
Sir-
Strieber, yeah.
he had video of he had one in his ear, and he went to the doctors, and his wife videotaped it. The doctor tried to get it out, and the implant kept moving away.
Oh wow,
It was, and
that's
he never
scary.
got it out. Yeah. So, and a lot of the time when they do get it, it's not exactly metal. So I don't know how this is setting off a metal detector if
Yeah,
they're an unknown material. So it's just weird. I want to know more about it, but I'm also kind of scared to know more about it
do they
because,
at
yeah,
TSA, do they ever, they just, you just say I got something in my leg, there's a whatever, do
I
they
don't.
obviously it's not a weapon. At
Right, right,
least we
yeah.
don't think it is. Yeah.
I don't say anything. I just let them pat me down and check it because some people, I used to have jokes about it. Some of them took it well, some of them gave me a harder time. So I don't say anything at all anymore. But they know by the time they're done that it's just something weird in my body. That's
I
all.
wonder how often that comes up though. You think,
Right.
you
Yep.
know, I
That's what.
mean, you're not the only one. I mean, I hear about this all the time,
Right.
and we all fly. So it's,
Right. It's interesting.
yeah, it is. It's pretty fascinating.
And I
So
wonder if a lot of them are in the same spots. There's got to be a lot of leg ones and
yeah, I hear in some necks. There's some neck ones, and you know,
yep.
it's probably. I wonder how they decide where to put it.
Yeah.
I want to
That's
know
a good
these things.
question. Yeah, what the
Okay, on this person. Uh,
hell?
so you're a medium. You're also a medium. Are you do, do this as you don't do it as a business? Do you? Is it just
Sometimes I have a website that people can get readings from. But most of my life I would do it just on and off for free. It would scare me, honestly. So I would do it for a little bit and then I'd freak myself out because I still have that inner doubt that I kind of fight with because of my upbringing. One parent was for it, one parent was against it. Um, but
heavily against it, like militant kind of thing, or just like I don't,
um,
you know,
like a disappointment. I don't want you to do it. I want you to be normal, kind of a thing.
what's normal?
R-
That's what
Right. But and plus the spirits used to really, really, really scare me. They terrified me. I didn't like them around at all.
oh, really?
Yeah, because well, with aliens they numb me completely.
Yeah.
But with spirits they're very emotional, and I pick up everything. So that would scare me. But a couple years ago, I lost my parents and
Oh,
my son's father,
oh no.
and so I decided to stop hiding and help people heal. You know. And that's essentially how I met Bob. I gave him a reading about his mom.
Yeah.
And then he got excited. He goes, "Oh, you're real.
Yeah.
Let me test you." So it
That's
started.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's your medium. You just it's kind of spooky.
It's better now. I feel safer with my family on the other side protecting me. So it doesn't scare me like it used to.
And a remote viewer.
I never knew I did that. I didn't know a name to it.
Yeah.
Um, and Bob told me all about it. and we actually take little lessons from Simeon Hines. He's really good. He's very kind. He worked under Ingo Swann, I think his name was, and Ingo Swann worked with the government. So
With the MK Ultra project.
I don't know. I think so, but he
Yeah.
was a big deal.
They like people like you. You could probably be hired.
I want some benefits.
That's government benefits, retirement plan. I want credit for my whole life.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's it feels very much like doing a psychic reading, just slightly different. To me,
Yeah.
anyway. I do cold cases with other psychics every other Friday. My friend Grizzly has a show, and he's an ex-police officer, and so he'll get cold cases, and it's a group of psychics. One is Angela Ford. She worked with the government.
Oh wow, I know
Yeah.
that name.
Um, and so that's very much a mixture of remote viewing because we have to find bodies sometimes, and also psychic readings to speak to the person to find out what happened, how we can help. So it's sad. It's very sad, but we try to help.
Well, it's good to be able to help there.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. So you're going to be a future ghost. Are you sure you're going to be a future ghost?
I
I
might be a
mean,
future alien. I don't know what happens, but yeah, I used to think everybody turned into a ghost or spirit. They like spirit better, but whatever.
right.
But now I don't know if I'm mixed with other alien DNA. Does my soul go back to where they're from?
Yeah.
Like, I have so many questions, and someone asked me one time, "Do aliens die?"
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's very interesting to think about because you never think about them dying. We're always told that they live kind of forever, or we're just not taught about it. So, but
Yeah. There's one theory is that the aliens look at they appreciate us as we're just a vessel that holds our soul in
right,
their that's I don't know this for real, but it's one of the things that I've heard.
I think so.
They look up to us because they don't have that. They don't have that soul like we do. And that we're just on this planet carrying this, we just have this body that holds a soul. And then when we die, we don't, we go on to it. Our soul goes on to another place. I mean, do you believe in reincarnation or that your
I
soul?
do. I do. Yeah.
Have you looked into that? Were your past lives, that kind of thing? You able to
Um,
do that?
I was told it wasn't anything magical that I used to be, but I think with certain people, like maybe your mom, or you always come back, but it's something different together, or
Right.
your child, you always come. I do believe that. I think we're soul families, and we want to learn certain things each lifetime. But there's also something I've heard recently where we're tricked and not to go into the light. So a lot of people are saying don't go into the light. It's
Yeah.
just a cycle.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Don't do that.
Dude, too much. But yeah, I have a lot of questions. I'm not allowed to know um some of them. They won't tell me anything. Um, I guess for my own safety, maybe we're not supposed to know. I think we're supposed to not know much here, so we learn more.
Right.
But then there's part of me that thinks we're dumbed down on purpose, so we don't realize who we truly are. You know?
Maybe we need that thing, that unknown thing, so that drives us to go further in
Right.
life.
Yeah.
It's maybe we're just not meant to know it all, and that's the reason why we're not being allowed to see what's truly going on here. So I mean, and you've heard of simulation theory. I'm going to throw all this at you, all this stuff. Have you heard of the simulation theory? That's
Yeah.
where it's a vid. So there's I mean, the video is of or the pictures of a alien on another planet, just like we're a giant video game almost that we were created.
I think there's something kind of like that, not as extreme, but look, I've experienced the Mandela effect. Okay, I remember certain things a certain way, like Skechers shoes. I used to be a little skater girl, and I always got Skechers shoes, and I had really bad OCD, so I would always type out the word and whatever. Anyway, the point
Yep.
is,
Yeah.
Skechers doesn't have a T in it anymore, and it used to have a T in the word.
Yeah.
And lots of people have different things that they remember differently. I think we switch different places because it's kind of like a simulation in some way. Maybe it's a different realm that we're put into.
Yeah, I heard something along those lines where there's no such thing as, people talk about Jiffy peanut butter. There's no such thing as Jiffy. It's Jif. I don't know if it's Jif. I didn't even look into it. I went, oh, that's weird. Yeah, that's what I thought was Jiffy.
Right.
Is it not Jiffy?
It's just Jif now.
Well, did it
But
used to be Jiffy?
yes, it did. It's
I don't pay
weird.
attention to peanut butter.
So I think that's part of the simulation somehow. Like I don't know
Yeah.
exactly.
And I've seen videos of like there was one that one of my kids sent to me of it was at a basketball game and two guys they're dribbling sitting on the bench, but they were dribbling a basketball and it looked so weird, like so synchronized, and they weren't looking at each other, they were just watching the game and dribbling the ball, and
I saw that.
and that was bizarre.
Yeah. Or
so,
like birds not flying, but just stuck in
yeah.
the middle.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to poke it to wake it up.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So what is happening?
We've gotten pictures of grids in the sky. So, and a lot of people think the grid is what's truly there holding in the hologram kind of thing. A lot of people that do, what is it? Not acid. It's some other.
LSD or whatever.
Yeah.
Now they have it where it's like a I don't know, prescribed, but you can get it to where like Joe Rogan. Was it Joe Rogan or no? Bill Burr, the comedian. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. He did that. He goes out into the desert and he does a little of this psychedelic. I don't know what it is, but it's almost prescribed. Like they say, well, do this much, and you have to have like a person with you, I think.
Yeah.
So that nothing weird happens. But it's almost better. They say it's better for you. I don't know if you've ever done it. I won't have to. You don't need to disclose that. But I've never done acid, but I've heard that it actually.
I accidentally once or twice accidentally did it.
You need to cover your beer bottle with your thumb when you're at the parties. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't drop that in there.
I'm innocent. I don't know.
Yeah, but it says it cleanses your. It does something very positive to your psyche. And I'm too scared to do it. My son did it, and I don't know if it worked as well for him. He had a girl there that kind of, he said all kinds of weird, dreamlike things happened. Nothing didn't sound too positive to me.
Yeah, it all depends. I did it a few times, not many, but I remember I hated how long it lasted. I wanted to be over after a while. It lasted like 6 to 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
But at one point, I remember I saw like the bookcase looked like it was breathing. I could see the air flowing. It looked like I was underwater. Everything was alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this how it is? And we're just.
Yeah, is that the reality?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah,
really
that
cool.
would be that. Yeah, and something has to pull it together and stabilize it. And we're working hard to get our world to look like this.
Right.
That's a great theory. Yeah,
so,
but
I don't recommend taking it, but it's never accidentally.
For our viewers,
Yeah.
LaLa's saying no.
Yeah, don't do drugs.
Not endorsing psychedelics.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was mushrooms.
I tried that. Yeah,
people
that
would
was interesting.
Did you grind them up and put them in a milkshake?
I
They don't.
shoved them in the Reese cup and ate
Oh,
it.
Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yeah,
Oh, I love those. Probably not with the acid though.
accidentally. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Long time ago.
So, what do you think about flat Earth theory?
I think it's. I like hearing about it. I really think they have some good points. I personally think we're not flat or round. I think there's one guy I subscribe to, and if you look up Crater Earth, um, he thinks, what's it called, like a torus or something, where it kind of keeps going in like this. It's
Yeah,
like
it's I've seen that one.
right, and that Earth is much, much, much bigger than what we realize, and that's why they don't show us. Some he said we might be in a crater and other life forms are in other craters, and so when we get visited, some of them are actually from where we're already at, which I don't know, it's very interesting. But I think that we are just a realm and pretending to be something solid, you know.
That's
But
interesting.
I like listening to everybody's theories, but I do know that NASA did say on camera that they couldn't get a full picture of Earth, so they had to CGI in different pictures to make one. And I thought, oh, that sounds like bullshit to me, but whatever. I found that interesting,
Shelley Lewis, who's a big flat, it's organization, Flat Earthers.
Yeah.
She was on the show. We had her on, and
Okay.
she's really. It was kind of interesting because my wife does. She's not a believer. My wife. You're fortunate to have somebody that subscribes to a lot of these things. My wife is
Yeah.
like, she comes on the show with me, and she's a trooper. She'll talk about it, but one time she was on the show and says that people that believe in flying saucers are crazy. So the next time one of my guys that actually experienced a UFO that's in town, he came in, walked in, and said, "Hey, Debbie, you think I'm crazy?"
Oh my god.
he, luckily, everybody I have on here has a really good sense of humor, and they know her, and just like
Oh.
and it's it's she just is like, I don't. But anyway, we had Shelley Lewis on, and Debbie was kind of listening off to the side because she's like, "What kind of person would believe that?" And Shelley Lewis was actually, she was a member of NASA.
Wow.
She was in the army. She was I think she was an officer in the army, and she wasn't really high up. I think she gave up all that when she kind of went to this other to research, do this research, and they've had documentaries and things on that are interesting that they try
Mm.
to prove this. But and then so we ended the really well spoken, you know, and we ended the interview, and Debbie says she's really quite intelligent. She said that's but they have an answer for everything. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, their theory is that it's. I don't know if you've ever seen Game of Thrones or the Ice Wall. There's like,
Yes. Antarctica and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, they think that the perimeter is an ice wall, like Game of Thrones, similar to that, and that there's other ice in the middle. I don't know which one's Antarctica and the North and the South Pole, and then the ocean is like in a circle all the way around it. It's just, I've flown and I've seen the curvature of the Earth,
Yeah.
and there's an answer for that. That's just the plate, so to speak, and underneath is just rock.
I do
And
think there's something weird about Antarctica and the ice wall and not being able to really visit or fly over it. I am Admiral Byrd said that he
yeah,
saw other animals and green. So I think something's up with that because don't all of the leaders get together in Antarctica like once a year to discuss things?
yeah, there are meetings up there, but yeah, Admiral Byrd was a Project High Jump, and they sent a bunch of
Mhm.
ships up there, and I saw another show where we lost more ships than they ever reported there, And there was Nazi UFOs flying out of this giant tunnel. And I mean, it's Antarctica's. I mean, it's a mystery that we can't. There's other things where there's pyramids up. There's who knows these are real pyramids, but they show these pictures. You never know what's real anymore. That's the
Right.
problem. I
Yeah.
get people that send me pictures all the time. They don't say they're real, but they're really good CGI, cool pictures. And
Yeah.
I put them up on the podcast Facebook, and
Yeah.
they're interesting to look at. Every once in a while, I'll run across one black and white photo that looks interesting. I don't. So it's it's a fascinating subject. I don't know, but Antarctica, there's something weird. There's definitely something weird going on, and they're not. And it's not a place that you or I could just drive there. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah.
So we're never really gonna know.
I have a question real quick. Um, my friend Grizzly is really into Bigfoot.
Oh,
He was asking questions. Some people think Bigfoot's an alien or
yeah.
an interdimensional. What are you or your guests think about that?
Um,
I don't
both,
really know much about Bigfoot.
both Bigfoots. I didn't really. I'm kind of on the fence with Bigfoot.
Mm,
It's we've never seen a Bigfoot body
mm,
or interdimension. I'm thinking it either could be either one.
mm.
There was lately there was a picture of one, and its face. They got a really good close up of the face, and the face looked just like human under all that hair. It was more defined than
Huh.
ever before, and it looked like a human. Um, it's I'm kind of leaning toward interdimensional because they kind of vaporize. There's exhibition Bigfoot and all those shows.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating subject, and it's one that we certainly talk about. A gentleman that I work with, Corey, I wasn't a big believer. I'm like, I believe in everything else, but I said I don't know about Bigfoot. It's just really weird. I mean, out here in California, it's up in the north. There's an actual little Bigfoot museum, and
Oh, cool.
they, that's not really something that I would really want to run across. You know,
No, no, I'm good. Or Wolfman or werewolves? No.
Yeah, oh no, no werewolves.
I would pass out, literally. They
But
scare
Bigfoot, I think, it's tied to um, it's tied to the UFO. Like there's some tie in there. That's talked about, and
me.
I've never really, we're. I mean, there's people searching. I always say 2 words. If you're searching for Bigfoot, 2 words: game cam. You know, where's your
Mhm.
game camera and just fire it
Right.
up, and they don't ever seem to, you know, it's kind of like Loch Ness Monster, where they,
Yeah.
can't. That's another one that's like, they throw a lot of money trying to find that thing, and
Yeah.
it must have a hell of a lifespan if it's still around, or maybe there's a bunch of them or whatever. That's another one. I mean, it's endless the things that I believe
Well, yeah, the ocean's really, I'm very fascinated with the ocean and what's deep in there. But nobody will really know, I don't think, you know.
Off the coast of California, there's down by nearby Long Beach. There's an offshore. It looks like an undersea base almost. It's semi-defined. They've looked down there, and I really think that there's stories that there's an actual submarine base in Nevada near Walker Lake, which is
Wow.
real. And it's I looked into it, and it's they use it for dismantling. I don't know why they put it way out there, but the
Yeah.
lake allegedly you go down. The lake isn't that deep though, so I don't really know how this could happen. But the submarines actually go down in there, and they go through that. There's tunnels all through underneath California from
What?
Nevada, and that the submarines can actually make it all the way through to down into the like by the San Diego area, which is a big naval thing. But I, again, this is weird,
I'm so
weirdness.
jealous. That's
Weird.
so exciting.
more weirdness. But that's yeah, it's just yeah, I've looked into, people will bring me just, hey, have you heard of this? And then I'll look into it. Okay, if you want to do a show, if you're interested, come on, I'll do a show with you on it. And but yeah, with Corey, it's yeah, it's the Bigfoot. He's the Bigfoot guy. So we're delving into that. And the series has some. They use more electronic devices, surveillance devices, and he said, and I haven't. You know, what do you? Okay, so you watch Skinwalker Ranch too? That's a big paranormal thing, right?
Not much. Bob's really big into it. He's trying to actually go there and see if they'll use him for something. But I I've heard a lot about it. I've watched some of it. I whatever it is, it's a little intimidating. It sounds like, you
It's
know.
more paranormal, I think, than it is UFO. I think. Did you ever watch Oak Island Mysteries? The Oak
Uh-uh.
Island. Have you heard of it?
Uh-uh.
Okay, it's on. They're on Nova Scotia on Oak Island. What they're doing is they're drilling all the Legina brothers. I think are there drilling all because allegedly there's this huge like gold. You know, like the Ark is buried there. There's all kinds
Oh,
of theories. So they're drilling down into this, and this thing's been going on for years. I
well.
don't know how many seasons of this. I watched it for a couple seasons because I'm like, gotta find something, gotta find something. And they would find a button, or they'd find a coin, or they'll find, you know what I mean.
Yay.
So, but it's got a huge following. So then
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch comes around. I'm like, okay, you know, my right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
UFOs. It's
It's interesting.
Robert
Yeah.
Bigelow with
Right.
Bigelow Aerospace.
Yep.
The different people that have owned it. And there's a Skinwalker Ranch. There's a book. I read the book, and it's Bob would be very disappointed because when I talk about Skinwalker, I say it's Oak Island with UFOs. It just feels like the same thing.
Yeah.
Tell Bob I'm sorry. I'm just not. It's more, and Bigelow didn't give up any of his notes for the research to the new owner, which is he's a Mormon. I forget his guy's name. Mormon. It's a Mormon. They're all Mormons, by the way, which doesn't matter, but they're all Mormons.
Yeah.
Um, and
Interesting.
they hired, but they had, when Bigelow had it, their security people stated that they saw the dino beaver and the giant wolf and this thing
Did
that's
you say
hiding.
Dino Beaver?
Yeah, I did say dino beaver.
What the?
Ask Bob about the dino beaver.
Oh my God. I will. Thanks.
Dino beaver at Skinwalker. And then another story came out that it was Bigelow's security people making up stories that they've seen these things so that they could keep maintaining, that, Bigelow kept hounding them to get information, to get something, get something solid so he could keep going in this research. And there's a whole different OSAP, is involved in that kind of thing. So it's
A lot
interesting.
of people think it's an elemental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The they're digging into that another mesa, but they drill into the mesa, and then it's the most powerful drill, and it keeps bouncing off something that's in the mesa. And and so they brought it's okay, we'll just unbury it. I mean, but they want to keep, they're shooting rockets up, and they're insinuating there's a portal or something up there. So but I'm like everybody else, I still watch. They still
We
got me.
we have two videos of a literal portal opening up in our backyard.
Wow. Yeah.
It's it was awesome. A light flung around this dark hole, and then a light shot out of the hole, and then it just collapsed.
Yeah. I mean,
It was
I
awesome.
definitely believe those happen. I don't know if you want to get near them because I don't know where they go,
Yeah,
but
my luck.
yeah,
No.
you better not turn up missing. I'll know what happened. She visited too close to the portal.
They better have sushi wherever dimension I
Yeah,
go.
I love sushi.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lala, we're running up on an hour, and I really appreciate you coming on. We finally
Thanks.
got it to work out, and
Yeah.
I, good luck in your business, and I appreciate appreciate you coming on. was fun.
Thank you. This was very fun. I appreciate it. Anytime, and I'll tell Bob.
No,
He's
he's going to be disappointed. He's going to be, I'm sorry I hooked him up with that computer stuff.
thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website, alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram @alienprobepod. Like and subscribe on YouTube. LaLa, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your week, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Watch the skies.